It's felt like it's a way more big, dramatic deal now. All of a sudden that we have this lighting. But it's interesting looking out and seeing a lot of you guys. We probably haven't had sales meetings since a lot of you were here. Typically, we do sales meeting every Monday at 8:30. So going forward for this new year, we're going to be doing it 9 a.m. every Monday. We're only doing it Tuesday today because that first little start of the year back, it's kind of a little bit chaotic for everybody. So the new format is going to be, we're going to film it. If you are here on the W2 team and the independents, we're going to do it every Monday at 9 o'clock. And we're also going to then put it out same day for everybody on the Tampa team, everybody remote, everybody virtually. And so if you haven't come to one of these sales meetings before, maybe you're online newly watching, we're going to open these up to anybody if there's any sort of value that anybody wants to get out of it. We're just going to have it open to the public. So usually the format is this: we spend about 10 minutes on what's become known as Motivation Monday, right? Like 10 minutes of kind of personal development, positivity, 10 minutes of kind of training, what's relevant in the industry, what do you need to know this week, what'll help you be a better agent on Medicare and ACA currently, and then 10 minutes of kind of like company updates, incentives, shout outs, things like that, okay? So with that, we'll kick it off. And I don't know if you guys are really into the personal development stuff. I always like a little bit of positivity. I think it's always nice to start the week thinking about, how can I get better as an agent? How can I get better as an individual in general? And so, take it for what it's worth. Some of you may really dig this stuff. Some of you may, man, I don't even care what these guys are talking about, and you may check out. I really hope that you pay attention. I do think that long term, by putting an intentional focus on your personal development, your mindset, ultimately it'll make your life better, help you be better as an agent, help you be better as a salesperson. So this most of this is usually what I was thinking of over the weekend. And this past week, I spent New Year's in Hawaii with my family. I went actually with Dan and his family as well. And I was thinking about kind of this evolution of life that everybody goes through. And, we were in downtown Honolulu, and we were, there was a lot of homeless people, which got me thinking about this. And I was just kind of thinking about how most of us go through some sort of stages of progression in life. And so I started really thinking well, what are those stages for me? And if any of you are familiar with Maslow's hierarchy of needs or anything like that, it kind of lines up similar to that. And so as I was thinking about it, the stages that I came up with for Mike's 6 stages of life or personal development were surviving, existing, awakening, thriving, excelling, and conquering. And so I don't have a ton of time to get into each one of these, but surviving, this is pretty obvious. And unfortunately, I feel like most people in life, most people in the world, they never really progress through these 2 first initial stages, surviving and just existing, right? And so I want you, as we go through this, maybe think about where do you feel like you're at in your life, and how could I maybe take it to the next level? We'll kind of talk real quickly about some tips to identify that. But surviving is pretty obvious, right? A lot of these people feel like they're in, actually just physical survivor mode. They're, concerned about their physical health. Do they have a steady place to live? Do they have basic income needs just to get by, right? It's very hard to focus on anything else when you're in survival mode. I don't really think, many of you or a lot of you, I hope none of you are really in this survival mode, although you may feel like you are. And it's very critical to get out of this phase if you are in it. The next from there is existing. And I feel like this is probably the majority of people, where they just kind of go through their daily life. You've got stability beyond basic survival, so your basic human needs are met. You have, a roof over your head, you have enough food to survive, but you just kind of go through the routines of life. Life just kind of happens to you without much personal satisfaction or passion. There's just a general sense of going with the flow. and life's neither particularly difficult for you nor particularly enriching. And like I said, I feel like unfortunately this is where most people kind of in the world get caught up in this this existing phase where they're just kind of going through the day to day. From there, I called this stage like an awakening phase. An awakening is kind of like the start of like personal transition, where you start to become aware of, hey, maybe I want something better in life. Maybe I need to pursue my passion. Maybe I need to get out of this career. Maybe I need to find something that is going to take me to the next level financially. You have this awareness about yourself, about what you want to do in life and how you can excel, okay? You might be exploring interests, philosophies, or even spiritual practices. And this doesn't always necessarily apply to strictly financial things, right? I have a lot of friends and family members who have kind of gone through an awakening, and they've almost taken a step back from, pursuit of strictly financial things, and kind of like, reevaluated their personal beliefs or philosophies on things in general, for better or worse. You're opening up to new possibilities and a recognition of one's potential or the need for personal development, right? And I feel like a lot of people kind of get here, and it's that gateway step to living a better, more fulfilled life. This next phase, I call it thriving. These people, they've not really recognized their potential. They're actively working towards fulfillment. They know what they need to do. They're on that path, and they're starting to get that sense of joy and fulfillment. Their life feels more vibrant, productive, connected to others, your community and self, right? So from there, I came up with this phase, excelling. So this is kind of like, on the upper echelon of life, on personal development. You really feel like you're doing well. You're not just, kind of performing, but you're performing at your peak. There's leaders, you're helping other people. You're feeling a little bit more self-actualized, and you feel like you're making significant impacts on your own life and the lives of others. And then I kind of came up with this last phase. I called it conquering. And this is like a phase of life where you might have somebody that maybe this is a celebrity, a politician, somebody who you really feel like is at the peak of their game. They're executing life at a high level in all phases, personally, financially. Maybe they're making a large impact on life. They're achieving a state of self-actualization where challenges are met with confidence and strategic prowess. These people are really crushing it in life, right? And so I called it conquering. These phases, guys, they're not linear, right? Meaning they're not like, you could be like a combination of both of them. And I was doing some self-reflecting here as to where I feel like I'm at in my own personal life as well. And then these stages also are fluid, right? Like there may be times in your life where you felt like you're doing better, and then some circumstances have happened, or maybe life hits you and you feel like you're kind of knocked down a peg and you're really struggling to kind of get back on track. So real quickly, that's great, right? But how do you kind of move from one aspect or one phase to another? The first thing, if you guys are in survival mode, this is critical that you guys solve these things. You got to seek stability, right? Focus on securing your basic needs like food, shelter, safety. Reach out to any resources that may be available to you. Build a support network. Connect with any family, friends, or community groups. One of the great things about living in the United States, we have a higher standard of living, and there are a lot of resources available for people who are in this survival mode. Build a routine and structure, right? That's critical to any sort of progression, is having a routine and structure that helps get you out of these phases. Going from existing to awakening, and this is really, I think, important, because this is where most people are. Self-reflection, right, and self-awareness. Really, where are you at? Like, what do you know what you're doing? You know why you're doing what you're doing every day? Do you know where you want to be going? There's a couple different things. Journaling. I'm not huge into journaling, but a lot of people love it. Meditation, therapy, understanding your current life needs. This is one I do feel like is really critical. Education and exposure, reading books, listening to podcasts, attending workshops, honestly, things hopefully like these sales meetings. What are things that you're participating in or putting your mindset in that kind of open your mind to a little bit more possibilities, make you challenge where you're at and where you want to be going? Also exploring passions, trying new activities, maybe it's a new job change, a new career, feeling fulfilled, finding your passion switches in whatever you're doing, revisiting old interests, being in connection with what has made you happy at times in your life, anything that gives you a sense of purpose. From awakening to, I think I skipped a step. Oh well, very, did I skip a step? From thriving to excelling, right? Mastery and specialization. This is one of the things too, and these different stages, guys, they can almost be segmented out to your career, things like that. And I feel like if you were to look at it from a personal development or career perspective, mastery and specialization, what are we doing here? How are you becoming an expert in your field? How are you mastering what you're doing in your life, your career, your personal interests? Are you spending extra time, listening to things that are helping develop the skills that you want? Are they making you a better agent? Are they making you a better whatever it is you're trying to do in your life? Are they developing your talents and interests? Leadership roles. I really love when I see and when I have our agents and team members coming to us and they're like, hey, I want more. I want to develop into a leader. I want the opportunity to, grow a team, lead a team. This is kind of in that thriving to excelling phase here. They're looking for opportunities, whether it's in their workplace, their community, a hobby group, to refine their skills and influence. And then they're kind of looking to innovate. And as a company, I think that's one of the things that Dan and I have always tried to do. At least from a professional perspective, is how can we innovate in the industry? How can we have diverse opportunities and roles for agents to be able to connect with these people? And how can we best serve, the population on the Medicare side and the ACA side and meet them where they're at? How do they want to communicate with agents? How do they want to do business? From there, guys, maybe it's from excelling to conquering, moving that needle, right? Having bigger goals, identifying your personal and professional challenges, removing limiting self-beliefs. How can I take this to the next level? Building resilience. This is something that's really huge. Focusing on your mindset, developing that resilient mindset through these things may be forced upon you, these difficult circumstances, or they may be situations that you're choosing to put yourself through to develop and cultivate these mindsets. And then start thinking towards like legacy and impact. What do I want to do long term? What do I want my family members, my posterity to think about? How do I want to make an impact in the community? What kind of things can I do to make a lasting impact? These things might involve mentoring, creating institutions, or changing systems and status quos. So these are what I came up with. Maybe that's beneficial to you. I at least hope it gets some of you thinking like, hey, where am I at in life? I think it's a really great exercise to go through at the beginning of the year. Usually I kind of got a little bit sidetracked this year at the end of the year, but usually I do a kind of end of year wrap up, goal setting exercise, kind of figuring out where you're at for the beginning of the year. I don't talk about it. I didn't do that this year, but I really hate like New Year's resolutions and like resolutionists because I don't feel like they're very impactful, right? They're not very specific. They don't really move the needle very much. And statistically, we know that most of these people that kind of set these low anchored resolutions have kind of abandoned those by the first 2 weeks of January. So put yourself in the mindset, thinking about what you want, where you're at in your life for going into this 2025. What phase or what stage of life are you at, and what do you need to do to kind of get to that next level? Because I really truly believe that most people are not happy if they're in that just existing, or especially that survival phase where they're just kind of mundanely going through life. They don't really have a lot of purpose. They don't have a lot of why to what they're doing. And ultimately, the reason why, like, what the heck does that have to do with, us being insurance agents and things like that? I hope you're able to find, however you're aligned with us as an agent, what you're doing as part of where you're at in your phase of life. Is it in one of those transitional phases? Is it to help get you to that next stage? Is it just, meeting basic needs for the time being while you figure out what you're doing? Hopefully you can identify what you're doing now in this opportunity as an agent, whether you're, employed W-2, whether you're one of our independent field agents, and you can plug in what you're doing here to this career path. Because ultimately, it's what I've loved about this industry is basically the potential is unlimited, right? In this industry, if you get the skill sets you need, you all probably got into insurance in some way, shape, or form because you identified it as having almost unlimited potential in some way, shape, or form to provide a great life for you, whether that's right now, kind of solving a basic needs, or like long-term, hey, I could learn this industry, I could build a business, I could become an expert in my field, I could really make an impact helping a lot of people. Maybe you do, hopefully you find joy and fulfillment in helping these seniors and helping these other beneficiaries with their health and wealth, because I really truly believe that what we do here makes an impact in these people's lives. I've sold a lot of garbage products in my whole life where I've hoped that nobody ever called me back, that I didn't really feel good about myself and what I was doing or what I was selling. And I've never ever felt like that, helping people with Medicare or putting them on an insurance plan and really helping people with their health and wealth. I feel like it's the best career path there is, and hopefully you can find a lot of impact and value in what you're doing. So that's it, guys. That's what I got for the inspiration and motivational piece. I want to kind of move on tactically. What can you all be doing right now to be better help your own personal performance and help these beneficiaries? Jordan and Brian, do you guys want to kind of go through these SEPs real quick?
All right, thanks, Mike. Yeah, so January, AEP's over. We have a lot of new enrollment periods to use. Obviously, the best one we can use right now is OEP for those who are currently in an Advantage plan. Now, OEP, they have to have started an Advantage plan by at least January 1st or any time before that. We're in January, chances are it started January 1st before that. So OEP is going to be your go-to right now. SEP for SAR plan exit. There are about 3 million people got SAR roughly.
Yep.
So that code is EOC and Sunfire. So look it up, see if they've lost their plan. A lot of dual eligibles will be automatically enrolled into a PDP plan. So even though it looks like they elected a plan, check what their previous plan was in Marks to see if that did have a contract end. That will grant you an SEP for that. Dual eligibles, LAS monthly. This one is for the Heidi-Fides. How much do you want to go into the Heidi-Fides right now?
Let's just touch on it and we'll do a deep training next week.
Okay, we'll go into more next week. But this one, you can change monthly. You can only use that if you're changing them into a highly integrated dual eligible plan or a fully integrated dual eligible plan. Involuntary loss of coverage. So loss of employer coverage, loss of creditable coverage. Similar to a SAR, but on that one, more of the employer-based creditable coverage there. Change in residence, move, that's a big one. That one gets missed a lot, especially if you look somebody up in Marks, their address could be old. That's an SEP move, you can use that one. CSNP, I think this is gonna be the biggest year for CSNPs. Most of the beneficiaries we talk to are gonna have some kind of chronic condition. The most two common ones are diabetes or any type of heart condition. Look in the summary of benefits for those CSNP plans. You can do those year round, so look at those there. Institutionalized individuals, so those who are in a long-term care facility and those who are leaving a long-term care facility or some type of rehabilitation facility. You have, 63 days after they leave in order to do something, so that's another option there. 5-star plans, a little less common this year due to the rating changes, but that is still available. Always look for 5-star plans. You can do that, as long as it's any time of the year. I think they only get one 5-star change a year, but nonetheless. Loss of special needs plan eligibility. This I'm seeing a lot of this year, especially if you look at Marks at the very bottom, the LIS information, you can see if they have a change in level, whether it be copayment 3, 2, or 1, it bounced up a level, or if it ended completely. That's what I'm seeing a lot of is That one's a little different, sorry. Loss of S&P actually means they lost their special needs plan. Diving into a little bit different one there. Contract violations or plan termination.
That's kind of redundant.
Yeah, that almost never happens. Disaster, phasing out. This one, yeah, it is basically gone as of April 1st, 2025. That's only if they missed an election period, which right now people would have missed annual enrollments. So mainly people in Florida, Carolinas, Texas, hit by hurricanes. California always has something. They have to have missed an election period, and they have to be in an area where it is FEMA recognized. Reach out to your team lead. We can help you find you which areas those are. Special circumstances,
Rare.
very rare. You're not going to do much of that there. Let's go to the next one.
I don't know if there is.
There's only one small one.
That's
No,
it.
that's it, yeah.
That's it. Okay.
Let me
one-
add on real quick on something, Jordan.
Well, the last thing I don't think was up there was loss of Medicaid status. So if they lost Medicaid, look at that. A lot of people are gonna be like, hey, all of a sudden I'm having $185 come out of my check. Loss of Medicaid status is a big one, so look at that one too.
B, did you have anything you wanted to add?
Just more on that disaster, I think you have.
Yeah, so adding on just a little bit, guys, the disaster SEP phasing out. Disaster DST codes have been highly utilized over the past 4 or 5 years, and really where these became very relevant was during COVID. There was temporarily an actual COVID disaster SEP that got shut down, and then over the past 3-4 years, really CMS changed that disaster SEP to be any county, state, or federally declared disaster, which, you know, if you're keeping track, there's many, many, many disasters always. Well, finally, CMS is going, hey, what have you guys been doing? You guys have been using this disaster thing to, you know, it's kind of like an open-ended, there's disasters everywhere, and they've been really cracking down on it, especially over the past couple of months. And so there's some of the carriers are actually in a little bit of hot water for overutilization or using and abusing these DSTs. That disaster SEP is still going to remain, and it still is going to be valid, and it's still going to be based on any county, state, and federally based disaster. You can still use it right now if there is a disaster that's declared. This caveat, this change that's happening on April 1st is as it is right now, CMS is saying that if you want to use a disaster SEP after April 1st, that you have to call into CMS on a 3-way call and have a CMS agent, like, I don't know, bless it with their magic wand or something like that. So
You won't be able to be the agent.
yeah, and you also won't be able to be the, I really don't think that's gonna go into effect like that. They're gonna change it in some way, shape, or form. But then the other critical industry change that's happened is that the LIS quarterly status, where anybody that was dual or LIS could change every quarter. And now they've essentially changed that only to HIDEs and FIDEs that we'll talk about more in detail, like what the heck is a HIDE, FIDE, how do you determine it? So it's gonna be a sword that cuts both ways, right? We're gonna have less competition for some of these people during OEP and lock-in, but we're also, we're gonna be able to navigate areas, and we have a great relationship with WellCare Centene and Molina, where they're basically the only two that have a lot of HIDEs and FIDEs across the country. So it's also going to be more opportunity for us as an agency. So that's all. Anybody have any questions related to SEP's utilization? Kind of where there's a will, there's a way, guys. We're never going to coach you to lie, cheat, steal, be, you know, fraudulent, but there's a whole list of SEPs in addition to this. Usually you can find a way to be able to help these beneficiaries and be creative. Now, if you enrolled 40 people during April and all 40 of those people were, you know, changing residence, you're probably going to have some scrutiny from CMS and the carriers, and rightly so. But just, you know, work with your team leads, work with your supervisors, work with other agents, you know, to make sure you can find a valid SEP that's going to be able to help us process this business, okay? Peter.
One thing about OEP is also the plan needed to have started January 1st or prior. So if they have a plan that goes into effect February 1 for whatever reason, you can't use that OEP.
Okay, yeah, so does that make sense to everybody?
Also, On the OEP, you cannot schedule someone to start more than 1 month out. So if it's a January effective date and they want to use OEP to move to a new plan, but they don't want that plan to start till March, you have to wait until February to use that OEP election code and then write the plan for a March start date. It has to start the very next month if you're using OEP. Remember guys, there's a hierarchy to these SEPs in order to find which one you can use. CMS will not just accept whatever SEP you give them. If it falls into a hierarchy, they will send it back to you and say, this doesn't apply. So any questions, you've got agent support, your managers, agent support managers, stuff like that. So just reach out to us.
Perfect. Any questions? All right, moving on, wrapping up with, this is gonna be kind of quick, but it's gonna be more fully fleshed out as the year progresses. Shout outs and incentives. So a couple things right now that I wanna make sure everybody's aware of. We do have this agent referral bonus, and there's always been a question of, does it apply to me as a W-2 agent? Does it apply to me as a 1099? This is open to anybody. If you refer an agent that is not contracted with Agent Boost, whether they become an employee, an LOA, an independent agent, whether they're doing ACA or Medicare, we will pay you a $500 referral bonus on that, okay? The onus on tracking that and letting you know, we're gonna have a better way to track that going forward, of probably a form that you're gonna fill out. But right now, just let your supervisor or team lead know who that is. We're generally, as long as we can track that you were the one that sent us that agent, it's a pretty smooth process. But we'll pay that $500 bonus once that agent becomes active. And we consider that active once they've produced 10 policies, right? And that can be anything from ACA policies to Medicare policies, supplements, Advantage, life insurance policies, whatever they write. So in order for that, what this doesn't apply in is if you refer an agent and they never do anything, they never write a policy, we're obviously not going to pay a bonus on an agent that never did anything, right? So any questions on that? $500, easy way to make some extra cash. If you guys have, any of you guys have worked at other call centers, or you know any other agents out there in the field that want an opportunity like you have, let us know. But yes, you're hearing it from me directly. The $500 bonus is open for all of you. Any questions? Hawaii. So this producer trip is coming up on April 12th to the 17th. We ran some bonuses for production on WellCare from the 8th to the 31st. I'm gonna just put it out there that I'm a little bit disappointed with all channels that this hasn't been more of a needle mover for some people. To hit this trip and this incentive, it's been purposely designed for somebody to have to put in extra effort, extra time. And there were a handful of people, we had quite a few people trending for this trip through annual enrollment. And then once AEP ended, there was kind of not a lot of emphasis on trying to do any extra work or incremental work there. I can tell you that if you felt like you're behind, you can still catch up, right? We typically, as a business, write more policies during OEP than we do during AEP. So if you maybe weren't there, you didn't really have a great AEP, you can definitely catch up. Last year we had an agent, John Ernest, qualified for the trip exclusively in 3 months. So it's definitely possible. And if you haven't been with the company, this trip, we're staying at the Westin on Kaanapali in Maui. It's like it's with a +1. It's like an $8,000 or $9,000 value trip. It's really sweet. We're gonna go out on an excursion. We have a team dinner. We have an award ceremony. I think Kaanapali is one of the best beaches in the world. Has anybody ever been to it in Maui? Yeah, I think it's one of the best beaches in the entire world. So, and we're staying at a nice 4-star resort there. So this is something that I hope moves the needle. We're gonna be doing some more extra point incentives and things like that throughout OEP to kind of move the needle and give you guys some opportunity to catch up. But whether you're an independent agent, however you're qualifying with this with your points, you can still catch up on this, and this is definitely something that moves the needle. If this is the 4th year that we've done this, and I think if you ask any of the agents that have gone on these trips, they're some of the best vacations or trips they've ever taken in their lives, and they are highly motivated to make these trips again. I feel like I travel a fair amount, and these trips with the agents are some of my favorite trips, some of my favorite vacations I've ever done. And I don't just say that as like the corporate rah guy. They're actually legitimately insanely fun. We do a lot of great stuff. They're great for team building. They're great for culture, and they're something that you should strive for. Just as a reminder, it's you and a +1. You do also get a $1,000 Visa gift card. The resort's all paid for, flights are all paid for, and we're doing an excursion out to the Molokini Crater, where we're basically riding out there on the fastest boat in Maui. It's a jet boat, and they take you out to what's called Turtle Town on the way out there. You go swim with turtles, then you go out snorkel at one of the best places in the world. So both times I've done that, I've seen tons of whales and dolphins and stuff like that, and it's just an incredible experience. So I really hope that some of you are willing to put some extra time in to catch up or close the gap. I'll give an updated, I posted some stuff out in Slack yesterday, but if you're curious as to where you're at, ask your team lead, ask a supervisor. I'll be putting an emphasis on getting you guys where you're at, tracking on that today. Just want to close with these Agent Elite trainings. We have these Agent Elite trainings for new agents or any independent agent. You guys, if you're one of our W-2s, you probably don't need this. Well, you don't need this because you get these kind of trainings all the time. But we are opening up these free trainings. We're going to be doing these first 2 here in this auditorium, the 21st and the 22nd. And these are basically, if you're an agent out there, they're built to how can you be successful in 2025? What are the tips and tricks that you need to know? What are the industry updates? What are the tech stacks that we provide that you can utilize to be successful? And these are open up for anybody. So anybody outside of our brokerage, if you're not with Agent Boost, you're still welcome to come. It's free, there's no catch. You don't have to fill out a sign-in sheet or whatever like that. We just hope that by us providing value, maybe you'll take a look at the organization one day. So if you have a friend, family member, anything like that wants to get in the business, these Agent Elite trainings are going to be a good head start for them. An insane statistic is about 80% of the agents that came to these Agent Elite trainings last year wrote more than 50 policies last year, became highly active agents, which if you guys have any idea of like industry statistics, there's about a 10% success rate within 2 years. So there's a high correlation of agents that came out to these trainings and their overall success. That's what I got for you guys going forward. What you can kind of expect is more shout outs for agents across all our channels, independent agents, ACA, Medicare, more incentives as we kind of flesh out these things. We've had a lot going on this last year. There's been a lot of changes in 2024. We're hoping for smoother sailing in 2025, but either way, we're gonna have a great year. We're already slightly ahead of where we were last year. We always want growth, just like I opened with those phases. I have that same thing with the business, right? We want to be in those thriving, in those conquering phases as Agent Boost, and you guys are all critical components to that. So anything that we can do, reach out to your team leads, reach out to a supervisor. If you have any ideas to how to make the business better, how to better serve the beneficiaries, we're welcome to hear those things. A lot of the things that we have kind of built into the business have come from you all, come from our agents, ideas, suggestions, recognition of things in the industry. So appreciate all you guys. I went a little bit over time. Every Monday going forward at 9 o'clock, we'll do this. Let me know some feedback, if you love it, if you hate it, things that we may be able to change. But really appreciate you guys. Let's have a great year.